I'm surprised you didn't say anything about the Friends I just dropped.
Yeah, I missed it. I was locked in.
Laissez-faire dDweeb.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah.
Très bien.
Yeah.
That's pretty bad. My grandmother would slap me if she heard me.
Yeah, that wasn't great.
I'm not speaking like that. But in my defense, my mouth's a little dry. I've had a couple of beers this afternoon. Need some water, so.
It's fair. Got that sour mash mouth.
There we go. Yeah. That's that high quality. You could loop that, guys. You could loop that, and that could be in your ASMR playlist for later. Just lip smacking for an hour and a half. You know, that might be more entertaining than this upcoming run of the new Warriors based on the internet comments I've read. I think people might prefer my Fortnite spectator ASMR videos to reading these comic books, which is saying something. So you just found out about this hatred today?
Yes.
Right? Okay.
Yes. And despite being recently laid off from a comic book shop, you'd think I would have heard about this one. New Warriors is, wow. That's going to be special.
That's a great way to put it. So I just sat him down and had him watch the official Marvel Entertainment trailer, which breaks down each character. It's narrated by the writer himself, and it is interesting, man. So the hate it's getting
That's mean to the word interesting.
Is it? See, I have mixed feelings about this because I understand it seems sort of like a limp ploy to try to get at a more obscure market, to try to reach out to, really specifically like the LGBTQ community. And it sort of looks like it's got a message of like white people bad, everything else good, but to me, there's room if there was a medium for a group of misfits, I guess, for lack of a better term, other than, the show Misfits, why wouldn't it be comic books? So, like, these characters, but then once you get into the character names and some of the descriptions, you're kind of like, how did this get past? It's like, so, like, in the concept, some of the things that people are mad about when you read these comments, and it just says stuff like, these soy boy beta cucks, this writer's wife's boyfriend needs to slap him, or my wife's boyfriend's son would love this comic book. It's you can tell the kind of people that hate this comic. You can tell who they are. A little bit, but to some degree, I can kind of relate. In concept, I don't mind what they were trying to do, but then you have a vampire character named B Negative, and it's just like super corny and stupid. You have Screen Time.
At least that's a throwback to the 80s.
Yeah, B Negative is one of the better ones, and it's
that's
not
the
good.
sad part. He could have went like A Negative. Or D negative.
The pun itself is just terrible. There was no way to save the pun.
Or not D negative, but you know what I'm saying?
Maybe D negative would have been.
Or M negative for mutant and shit.
Or just don't try to do a blood type pun. And especially not B. I mean, it's just so corny. And then you have Screen Time, which might be, I know we're talking a little bit about Daredevil this week, and Screen Time might be up there in my personal listing of most ridiculous origin stories. Daredevil somehow only getting his eyes covered in the corrosive material that
also made the Ninja Turtles.
Yeah.
Fucking respect, son.
Yeah, but it's out there. It's quirky. It doesn't make a lot of sense. The logic doesn't hold up, but whatever. Here we have a character in Screen Time whose grandfather covered him in his experimental internet gas, and now Screen Time is always plugged into the internet. I don't know how that's his superpower.
I don't know how his grandfather isn't locked up for being a child molester, because special internet glass sounds a lot like cream of mushroom tip soup to me.
This is just ectoplasm. And So, I don't know how that's a superpower, first of all. It feels like a ripoff of the South Park game.
It's like a shitty cyborg.
Yeah, it's like Stan's girlfriend who just has a bunch of different cell phones, and that's her superpower. That feels like that's what this guy is. Yeah, like you said, a shitty cyborg.
Yeah, at least Cyborg can, like, almost get destroyed and be rebuilt.
Yeah, I mean, this guy probably can just, like, hack into stuff, and it's like that old...
If that.
That old boomer version...
What if it's on its own fucking internet?
Of hacking, where he just can know people's passwords, and, like, he's not really hacking them.
Right.
He just figured out your password, because your password's, like, mittens or something stupid. And then we have Snowflake and Safe Space, who I believe are twins... Snowflake.
So it's like Moss and Meadows of the fucking Teen Titans.
Yeah, and except that Snowflake is a non-binary who goes by they them pronouns and shoots snowflake-shaped shuriken at people. I imagine they're made out of ice. And then I keep wanting to call him Spacebar, which I think would be an infinitely better name.
That would be an infinitely better name.
Safe Space is able to, like, create force fields, but only for other people. So I can already tell how he's going to die. You know, he's definitely set up to be a character that's going to sacrifice himself, because he'll be able to stop, you know, someone's Kamehameha wave and save his... sister? I don't know. It's weird. It's a non-binary character who's clearly drawn to me to look female.
Extremely androgynous.
I don't know.
Androgynous like 80s Bowie.
Yeah. And where there's another one, I feel like I'm missing a character here. Oh, the girl with the backpack. What's her name? Trailblazer. Oh. Yeah. She has it's a grown-up Dora. With a thyroid problem, and she has this backpack. This one they ripped off from Venture Brothers. If you remember, damn it, what's that character's name? He has a question mark in his suit, and there's a hole in his stomach that's just a black hole portal to other universes, and so they're constantly pulling shit out of his stomach. Damn
like
it,
a gross parlor trick.
It's driving me nuts. I'll have to put it in post. I'll have to find a photo of them and put them in there. But anyway, so we have the Trailblazer lady who can just... Items randomly appear in her backpack, and sometimes they can kind of possess her and lead her in directions. I don't really know. They don't really know based on what they described. But yeah, so she's a chick with a special backpack. 18
miles to the gallon.
And they called her Trailblazer because she runs into the fray. That's where they got the name. So
I almost said something mean.
Almost. You would be joining 123,000 other YouTube users who have given this a dislike and left an angry soy boy beta cuck.
Not on the overall picture.
Cuckoo bird comment.
It's almost not even worth shitting on. It's so bad.
Yeah, it's weird. Because I wonder if it would get the same heat if it appeared to be a competent and well-told story. Like, no, the art looks bad. The concept looks goofy. The guy talking about it doesn't really seem to know much about comics. You already have... So the original New Warriors are still supposed to be in this story, but now they're like the authority figures of the country or something. So they're training new warriors. So this is the new Warriors. I don't know. I don't go. I think it's just going to be bad on its own, and then it's going to turn into a thing where people are going to be called racist and misogynist and sexist for calling this bad comic book bad. You know, you just don't like it because it doesn't have, you know, your white Superman or whatever. And it's like, well, no, I think this is just a poorly written story. So, I don't know. I hope it's not bad. I really do, because I hate when it's just real easy for things like this to get shit on. You know, I'd really love it if you want to tell this type of story, but it needs to be a good story that stands on its own merit, not one that solely exists because you have you know, non-binary people in there, and you're just trying to get the non-binary dollar, or you know, you're trying to get the LGBTQ
whatever
dollar
suffix.
instead of making a story that's true to your heart and who you are. If that's who you are as a creator and you want to tell a story for people that are like you, fuck yeah, man, I'm all in.
That's
roll the dice. But if it's just a cash grab, I mean, it doesn't seem like a Marvel thing to do that. This seems like Marvel trying to Disneyfy itself.
Prime
like,
abundance.
let's just get access to this market. That's what it feels like to me.
As writers, I think we've really seen a departure of people who really look to create content based around a solid story, as opposed to just trying to people please. Because I feel if you write a good story, your expression bleeds through no matter what. And the real social justices, like issues and matters, whatever they be, will be in that art organically that way. Not when you just focus on it for the sake of it.
I just be like, ooh, look at me. I'm so inclusive. Look at my all-inclusive group. That's all that it is. You know, we're inclusive.
Kind of.
Yay.
It's pandering.
Happy. Exactly. Yeah.
It's pandering. Especially when you look at like. So did you focus group like 3-year-olds for the names? Did you even think harder than a fucking second on any of them?
Yeah, the names are pretty bad. The whole thing is rough. I'm not gonna lie to you. I doubt I'm gonna read this. Not really a good time for discretionary spending, I've been told. So I can't really afford it right now.
Right.
But even if I could, I probably still wouldn't buy it. But let me know what you think. Let us know what you think. If you're going to be tuning in, reading along, or if you're going to pass on this one. If you plan on shitting on it without having even read it, or if you just hate the concept that much already. That's all I got on this one. You got anything else on this New Warriors jive?
I think what I got in this New Warriors ain't got shit on New Mutants.
Yeah.
Well, the movie that's allegedly coming out April 3rd.
Yeah, that's allegedly. Yeah, I don't know where it's going to release. That will be interesting. But yeah, what is this like it looked to me, now this one was the one that I was out of the loop on because I just saw the New Warriors trailer, or the New Mutants trailer, damn it. We shouldn't have done these back to back. Pardon me. Boy, amateur hour. I just saw the New Mutants trailer for the first time today. Seems pretty cool, like it's going to be some sort of Shutter Island superhero horror story, maybe?
A little bit.
Something. The Cure for Wellness meets fucking X-Men.
You ever see Sucker Punch?
No. No, I have not.
So I'm not going to give it all away, but it looks like a whole lot of mind fuckery. Sucker Punch is a movie where things are told through the delusions of a person. And with you already knowing the backdrop of New Mutants being in a psychiatric hospital for mutants, it kind of gives you that idea that like these kids are being force-fed psychotropics to keep them loopy.
Yeah, like Shutter Island or The Cure for Wellness. Those are two examples that I do know that I can pull from. But it sounds, I mean, this isn't a new story. The wrinkle to it now is that these dudes have powers. So it'll be interesting. I imagine there will be a lot of hallucinations and things of that nature, since these are all very powerful mutants. You know, there's a reason there aren't a lot of superhero horror stories already, right? Because it's hard to believe and be afraid for a character that has superpowers. Like the stakes have to be so elevated that it usually makes more in a sense of you see it with the superhero movies that we do get. You know, it's almost never the hero themselves that's in immediate danger. It's always some proxy, something that's incredibly important to them. Whether it be their wife, their daughter, the planet Earth itself, but it's never our indestructible hero. So to have these have these kids be put in a situation where they're in some sort of misery type situation where they're just getting locked up against their will, and maybe there's certain drugs that are involved that can numb their powers or something. That's the part I'll be interested in, is like these people have superpowers, so how are they gonna, other than the force field that appears to be there in the trailer,
right?
How would
which could be another delusion or drug?
Yeah, you don't know what any of that means.
It's all a mind fuck. Did you ever fuck with Legion?
No, I didn't. I know you talked to me about it.
It has a lot of those kind of parallels because it's in Legion, and I think this might be canonical within New Mutants, because both were made by Fox. Fox made Legion for FX, and Fox made New Mutants before the buyout from Disney. So, it is within canon because you have David, can't think of his last name, Professor X's son, X-Man. And he was put in a psychiatric hospital and given drugs to suppress his mutant powers.
Yeah, and they do it in the Logan movie with Charles himself. So it would make sense that would be probably how they would do it. So that'll be cool. Definitely excited to see that. Where do you think that movie's gonna go, though? Because, for instance, AMC's are closed through July.
Right.
So...
hey, Disney Plus, put it on your account.
Yeah, I keep hearing, so... maybe this is something we can touch on a little bit later. I'll just mention it briefly, that they're potentially talking about putting Black Widow straight to Disney Plus.
That'd be cool.
Originally, they were trying everything not to do that, and they still may not. Because that's one of the few IPs that they can really bank on having a big draw.
I was gonna go see it.
A lot of people would go see this in theaters at least once, because it's one of the few times we'll have left to kind of look back on the first saga. Because even though this is definitely a phase 5 or whatever phase they're on now, this very much is a callback to the Infinity Saga, and really a prequel to the Infinity Saga more than it is something new.
Right.
And it's one of the few characters that we actually lost from that. So, it's a big character. It's probably the biggest movie they have right now outside of Spider-Man 3, which we'll talk about a little bit later. But just with these movies in general, the ones that are just filming and aren't planning to be released until 2021, they're fine, really. They're going to be slowed production time. Maybe they'll be delayed a month or two as far as their release dates, but not really a huge deal. But some of these movies that were ready to go, like what's going to happen to them? Because it's really going to affect their numbers. Like Black Widow will lose a lot of money if it goes straight to Disney Plus. There's just no two ways about it. Like they're going to miss out on millions of dollars in the box office.
They would miss out on millions in the box office, but I think you would also... well, fuck. I mean, at this point, who doesn't have Disney Plus that wouldn't have gone to see the movie?
Well, they will get more Disney Plus, but I'm saying...
But I get what you're saying.
You're just paying your $8 a month for Disney Plus,
$7.
Whereas... yeah, one movie ticket for one person is twice that.
Right.
And then
this is $5 Tuesday at Marcus Cinema.
And you've got repeat business.
Right.
You got people that go to see it twice, where now they can just binge it on Disney Plus. So by the time the theaters open up again, no one's gonna, not no one, but a much smaller percentage of that fan base is
maybe a third if you're lucky.
Go watch it. Absolutely. So now Black Widow, it won't bury that movie because that's a well-established character. The New Mutants, it could bury this movie.
Oh, yeah.
This could be a movie that 10 years from now, everybody's like, oh, this was a cult classic. This was one of the great ones that...
went straight to digital.
That no one knows was any good.
Right.
Who knows? Its numbers could be so bad that it prevents any future stories about, like this from being told. It could change the way Marvel's future phases go. If this, because this is a very experimental type thing, doing this sort of sci-fi superhero horror story.
Oh, yeah.
And it's a very interesting concept. It's something I'd love to see done well, hopefully this first time, and then revisited in the future. It's a very cool concept. I wasn't huge into Brightburn, but I dug the concept of, like, that's the next step to me in these superhero stories, is to open them up into other genres. You've created your own genre. Now it's time to intermix with things that have already existed. They did it with sci-fi.
Unbreakable.
And yeah. So now start to make it, transition into horror and stuff like that. But what did you have?
Well, like, you look at Unbreakable, what was it, sequel, Mr. Glass? Oh, no, that was the third one. Mr. Glass was the third one.
It was Split and then Glass.
Yeah. And you think about how those were suspense. Because the whole time you're trying to figure out who's this dude fucking with Bruce Willis. And yet, if you watch some of the very, very subtle foreshadowing, it does a great job hiding who the mastermind is.
Yeah.
And, yeah.
Sure, yeah. Back when M. Night was good. But yeah, I'd love to see this be approached. So I'm much more excited about New Mutants than I am the New Warriors.
Ileana.
But the recent news that I'm most excited about, which is really just a rumor, but when it comes from one of the bigger names in the comic book world, like a Kevin Smith, perhaps, it tends to get a lot of attention. Now, we all know there's another Spider-Man movie coming, and if we remember how the last Spider-Man movie ended, it involved Peter Parker getting accused of essentially
being out of the phone booth.
Being a terrorist, I guess, basically.
Pretty much
by Mysterio. So, sorry, spoiler alert if you haven't seen that movie yet. But
well, if you didn't, it's your own fault.
It's too late now. So, the thought being that Spider-Man would need a lawyer, right?
Yeah.
And there are...
Or Peter Parker, you should be really saying.
Peter Parker will need a...
legal defense team.
Superhero-friendly lawyer or attorney. And, at first, the rumor that I heard first a long time ago was that this would be Jennifer Walters. This would be She-Hulk playing... This would be the way she would kind of... Get introduced and potentially be a replacement for Mark Ruffalo at some point in the universe. These guys won't all be doing this forever, right? So if you want to have a Hulk-type character, then, okay, you start bringing She-Hulk in now in a small role in a Spider-Man movie. By the time, give it 10 years when Ruffalo's gone, She-Hulk's a big name in the brand. But
she's a primary Avenger.
Right, exactly. So it's something that we would be primed...
It's natural for her to be included at some point.
So yeah, of course, this makes sense. It made sense at the time. Now, after Marvel has canceled, it canceled all of those Netflix series. What was that, like 2 years ago? It feels like it's been a while now.
Closing in on it.
Yeah, it feels like it's been...
The length of dormant time has passed where they can start using some of these properties again.
The contract is almost up. It's not like a non-compete, but it's sort of like a mandatory corporate cool-down time.
Right.
And I believe the clock's going to run out right around summer of 2021, because it's usually a 3-year cooldown period. So if it happened in 2018, they should be able to add those Netflix characters into MCU properties starting the summer of 2021. Now, that brings us to the rumors that, Kevin Smith started to talk about. What's the actor's name that played Daredevil? It's Charlie something. But anyway, that it would be that actor reprising his role as Daredevil to play attorney Matt Murdock in the newest Spider-Man movie. So, that would be pretty freaking sweet. I know you already have at least one Netflix Marvel character that you'd love to see get thrown into this MCU. I'll let you talk about that yourself. But I think in general, it would be great to incorporate... The Netflix thing was cool, but all they could ever do was like reference the Battle of New York. It was never going to be a full-on immersion of the two, which now we could potentially have that. I would be honest with you, I haven't watched a lot of the shows, and that was a main reason for I don't want to have to be forced to watch shows to keep up with the movie.
That's fair.
Tell me an interesting story, that's fine. I didn't love all the characters, but I watched a little bit of Daredevil.
Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. got weird.
Yeah, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I didn't watch. Got weird. Kind of glad I missed it. Luke Cage, I'd like to see more of. Jessica Jones, I'd love to see those characters at least, show up in some movies here and there. But Daredevil, I think, is a major character. This is one that's close to me. In my childhood, I started on Spider-Man before I got really into Batman. So, that Spider-Man and Daredevil's worlds cross paths a lot. I used to, on top of the comics, I'd read a lot of the fiction, like the short novels that used to get written about. Like, I had a bunch of different Spider-Man novels. I don't know who the hell was writing them because I don't have them anymore.
That's fair.
But I had a shit ton of Spider-Man novels for some reason. And Daredevil was always, they were always teaming up. So for me to be able to see it in movie form would be really freaking cool. Yeah. What are your thoughts on this? What would be your preference? We have two options here. And then, then let's talk about after that, and we can just spitball some things we'd like to see done with these Netflix characters.
There were rumors almost within 24 to 48 hours of each of the cancellations that at some point that these characters would either be brought back through Hulu TV shows.
Yeah, because Disney owns that as well.
Right. Yeah. Or full-length feature films of their own, with Punisher being kicked around primarily for the movie. And which from what I understand, sense. John Bernthal being the Punisher still. And Charlie Cox, that's what his name is.
Charlie Cox, thank you.
Yeah.
And which makes sense. Punisher, that's probably one of the most recognizable characters because for those of you that don't remember, it's one of the few superhero movies that was made before the superhero
80s.
Renaissance. In the 80s, and then again, there was the Tom Jane one.
Yeah, in early 2000s.
Say what you want about the movie, it was very early 2000s. It was very part of that time period, much in the way Daredevil has a certain feel where you immediately, the movie's just so dated based on the soundtrack and everything. And
there's a goddamn video game for the Punisher.
Yeah.
Did you ever play it?
No.
It was on the PlayStation 2, and it's one of the most violent fucking games ever.
It's like Mad Max without the
there's parts where you can take broken windows and use them to decapitate people.
Ooh.
It's fucking nuts.
I'd like to find that footage. So that it would make sense to me to see them especially Punisher and Daredevil. I think those were two of the more popular ones.
Oh, yeah.
And like I said, Luke Cage and Jessica Jones. I imagine that they'll get a piece, a little piece of this MCU pie at a certain point. But so let's just say for a moment that you're Kevin Feige or you have a say in this attorney casting. If it were your story, who would you want to see, She-Hulk or Daredevil, to be put into this story? How would you do it?
I would actually do both.
I thought you were going to say that.
I would do both. There's been plenty of times where Charlie Cox and Jennifer have worked together as legal representation for other superheroes. I think in several continuities, they actually go on to open their own firms specializing in superhero law.
Well, that would make sense in certain timelines, for sure.
My favorite celebrity crush, Emmy Rossum, being thrown around as the name to play She-Hulk. Those of you familiar with Shameless definitely recognize that name.
I know you like that.
And that would tickle my nerd bones. Quite in tune with the harmony of that.
I'm sure it would. Well, all I can say is I hope we see it. We'll keep our ear to the ground, and once the internet explodes with news and confirmation, we'll be right there behind everybody else to say, hey, did you hear about this yet? Pretty cool. What do you think about it? But in the meantime...
wash your fucking hands.
Yeah, wash your hands. You'll probably get some more bonus content from us in shorter spurts since everybody's got more time at home. Those of you that are stuck at home, we're happy to spend some time with you. Those of you still going to work,
wash your fucking hands.
Wash your fucking hands. And we'll catch you next time. This has been dweeb. Find us on the internet.
Peace.
You just have to look. It's your own. I'm not telling you where. Just look for it.